Hello and welcome to Sports Talk. This is going to be the weekly update on Newcastle and Philadelphia Eagles. Champions League was last night. Newcastle beat PSV 3-0. The main part of that match for me was we were back to Eddie Howe's Newcastle. We played high press, front foot. We didn't sit back. It's what got us to where we were. This season we've dropped off from the high press. Eddie Howe said in press conferences that it's hard to sustain. By the end of the season the players look jaded, which I agree with, but we don't look anywhere near the team we need to be if we're not playing the high press. I will caveat that with PSV were really bad. Playing a high line against Newcastle, this Newcastle has been proven to be a bad idea. When we're on our game, playing a high line against us does not work. High turnovers, quick breaks, and finishing the chances we get is what Eddie Howe's Newcastle is and needs to be going forward. So that was good to see. It was silly from PSV. I admire the fact that that's how they play. They play it in the league. They've had great success with it in their league. But you have to be a bit smarter, I think. Teams that have proven to rip that high line apart, you cannot do it. We've done it against Tottenham. We played well against City with when they had a high line. We just couldn't finish as chances. Over the years of how the high line is bad. My notes are up to my left if I'm looking up to my left, so just bear with me on that. Big thing from the game, Bruno's injury. It looked innocuous at the time. I didn't really think much of it. Tried to play through it and then went off just before half-time, couldn't carry on. Saw an update from the Geordie Journos that Eddie Howe in his press conference saying it had a big swollen ankle. But like they said, Bruno's been in a boot for his ankle before and played 7 days later. Whether or not that happens again, I'm not sure. Sunday is not 7 days, obviously, it's only a couple of days in between. But with Miley, I think we should be alright. Miley can step in and cover Bruno for a week if he needs to. And we'll get on to Miley later because I thought it was a really good touch at the end of the game. Going through the players that impressed me, Gordon really impressed me. Looked back to his best. He was aggressive. He was pushing up high. He was keeping their players pinned back and nicking balls. We need that form. We need that form in the league as well, and away from home. Home we've been all right, but away from home we sit back too much. And Gordon's one of the outlets that we need to be pressing high. Whistle looked all right. Bright still doesn't look fully fit. It's kind of expected, being out for so long with the injury before he even played a game for us. He's going to need time to get fit again. But he was making good smart runs on the shoulder of the last man. Got his goal, pressed well for the assist for Gordon. Looks like there could be a player there. I think next season we should see the best of Wissa. Joe Linton was my man of the match. He was brilliant throughout, tough in the tackle, aggressive but smart with it. Not getting a booking and being banned for PSG next week is a massive thing, because Joe Linton against PSG is going to be important to control that midfield. And he played simple passes. He didn't try too much. He didn't try to do more than he's capable of. He's a destroyer in the midfield, and he needs to do that and pass it off to Bruno or Tonali, and he did that really well. Controlled the midfield for the whole game. And finally, the last player I'm going to touch on is Alanga. He's had a slow start to his career at Newcastle. He's got one assist, I think it is, and no goals. I think that's right. But it's not been good enough. But I will urge people to remember how Gordon started for us. Similar players, all about pace, scoring goals, and playing on the shoulder of the last man and taking people on. Gordon's first 6 months after he joined in the January transfer window, 22-23 season, he didn't get a goal till the last game of that season, and then the season after, he kicked on. There was bright spots last night for Elanga, which gave me hope that it could be the same issue. He's getting used to Howe's system. He is not playing how Forest played. Very low block, get the ball, hit it long fast for Elanga to run onto. We're not playing that kind of football. So I think it's taken him half a season to get used to it. Bright spots last night. I think if he gives us something to cheer about, the fans will get behind him. And I'm hoping that it's kind of like the Gordon situation. 6 months to get used to the system and how we play. And then 6 months to show what he's about and that he's worth the money we paid, because we did pay a lot of money for him. So yes, he's not been anywhere near good enough, but there was bright spots in the 20 minutes last night. I'm hoping he can kick on from there. What other notes have we got for that game? Miley, the wonder boy, 19 years old. He got given the captaincy with Bruno going off and then Trippier getting subbed off with a couple of minutes to go. Although it was only a couple of minutes he was captain, he's a local lad. He's 19 years old. And even if it was just symbolic, giving him the captaincy for those last few minutes shows the trust that Eddie Howe has in him, shows the trust that the other teammates have in him, that they're happy for him to be the captain. There was more experienced players on the pitch, there was older heads on the pitch. But I think Miley deserved that. I think he's a future captain for us. He's going to be with us for another 10, 15 years. I think he will be the captain once Bruno either leaves or retires. Hopefully retires. I hope Bruno stays here for the rest of his career. But Miley's the next one up, I think. And he's been so impressive over the last few months. Getting slotted in at right back after never even practicing at right back. Centre half. Playing centre half, right back and centre mid in the same game. He never puts a foot wrong. He gives 110% every game. His passing is immaculate. His defending when he's playing in the back four is brilliant for someone who's not a defender. He tracks his man when he's at right back. He never gets beaten for pace even though he's not fastest. He's a very smart player and he's got a bright, bright future ahead of him. He's going to struggle with the three we've got. I think he's going to be rotating with Bruno and Tonali, because I think, for me, Joe Linton has to play. We need that destroyer, and Miley's not that. But I think rotation between Bruno, Tonali, who's not been his best this season, and Miley is a good spot for Newcastle to be in. And getting into the top 8 is going to be massive. We're sitting 7th joint with PSG. The game against PSG is going to be a huge game, because getting into that top 8, having the break and skipping the playoffs and going straight to the round of 16 gives us a couple of games break. Lets us re-energise, refocus for the knockout stage of the Champions League, which is massive for the club. We need to be getting Champions League regular, and I think getting top 8, proving we deserve to be among the big boys is only going to improve the prospects for the club. Obviously, PSR-wise, getting to the latter stage of the Champions League is massive on a regular basis. But also getting players looking at the club will look at, they're in the Champions League, they're getting to the knockout stages. It draws players in. All the best players want to play Champions League. And if we're in one season, out one season, in one season, out one season, players might look at that and worry that they're not going to be there regularly playing in the highest competitions. Getting top 8, getting through to the round of 16, hopefully sneaking Champions League this season in the league, which will come on to the league form, will show players in January and in the summer we're here to stay, and we need to be here to stay if we're wanting to kick on and progress further to where the owners want us to be. Regular Champions League football every season is a must. The form needs to carry on to the league. Away from home, we've been abysmal. We all know that. At home, we've got by, but we need to get back to playing how Eddie Howe style of football week in, week out. I get scared when we just sit back. If we get nick a lead and we sit back and defend, or even if it's 0-0 and we just sit back and soak up pressure and try and break, we're not that team. The players are built for aggression and being on the front foot and attacking. Like the Keegan days, we were the entertainers. We could defend, but our mantra, the way we played, was you score 3, we're going to score 4. And I feel that's how this team is kind of built. We can defend. We're solid-ish at the back when we're on the front foot and they're not having to defend their box for 90 minutes. We've got defenders who can defend, but we're built to break. We're built to score goals. We're built to be in your face and not let you play your style of football. And I think we've got to continue that in the league. The league's open this year. I mean, the title's gone, but from 4th down to 12th, 13th, it's so tight. So I think if we carry on playing the way we played last night, and push on with that form, we can get Champions League. I think 4th or 5th is easily achievable. There's teams above us who I don't think are that good. I think Man United-ish, they're not that miles better than us. Villa, again, playing really well at the start of the season. Will they drop off again? And then the other teams around us, Chelsea, inconsistent. Liverpool, really inconsistent by their standards. So I think 4th or 5th is a reasonable expectation for us this season. We just need to make sure that we get it. What the notes have we got here? I think that's everything on Newcastle and the game last night and where we need to go from here. It was a positive result. Hopefully we can push on against PSG, get a win and get that top 8. That's all the stuff I've got on Newcastle from the Champions League last night. We'll do a news roundup next for the Eagles. Obviously it's the offseason for us. We got knocked out the playoffs. Kind of expected it, if I'm honest. The way we played through the regular season, I never really thought we were going to do much in the playoffs. The NFC East was a walk this year, so I expected us to get there, even how badly we played some games, but I never expected much in the playoffs. So in this offseason, obviously, big things are changing. Another offensive coordinator for Jalen Hurts to work with. New one every single year since, I think, his second year before he came into the NFL in college. He's had a different offensive coordinator every year, and definitely every year with the Eagles. I don't believe the news that Brian Daboll and Mike McDaniels were the only, the top 2 targets, as I've seen reported in some spaces. Yes, I think they will definitely be in the conversation, but to me, they weren't we've missed out on our top 2 targets, because as it's been reported, they don't want to work with Sirianni, or things that absolute nonsense that I'm seeing reported. The main thing for me with the offensive coordinator is we need someone who's aggressive with play calls and not passive on 1st and 2nd downs, leaving us 3rd and long. Our identity in the Super Bowl year and the 2 years prior to that when we got to the Super Bowl and lost, we're physical, we run the ball, we get good early yards to give us play action pass on 3rd downs if we need it. And last year with Kevin Petula, he was so passive. The schemes for the run plays were so basic, and even the throwing plays into the Super Bowl, in the playoffs, were so basic that even me as a British NFL fan who doesn't know the ins and outs of the game as much as a lot of the American fans, who's watched it for 20 years now, watching the Eagles, even I could see how basic the plays were. Running 4 verts and one, and Dallas got out to cut on a slant hook. Even I could see that and knew how to defend that. And I don't know the X's and O's and the names of players and schemes and things like that. So we need an OC who is aggressive on his players, but opens up running lanes for Saquon. Last year, yes, Saquon was absolutely incredible, but the plays we called allowed him to have the chance to be incredible. And Kevin Patullo just calls basic plays, and it's all down to him, Saquon Barkley, to make the lanes himself. Missing Lane Johnson for most of the season is a big miss, I agree. But even so, that O-line should be making better holes and getting him past the line of scrimmage. Once Saquon breaks the line of scrimmage and he's into the second line, that's when he does his magic. When he's having to brute force his way through the line of scrimmage, it's not going to work. Although Tank Bigsby did help with that a little bit. What else? Having someone at OC who can allow Hurts to feed the talent we've got is important. Hurts is still the main man for me at quarterback. I've seen some non-Eagles fans calling for a new quarterback or to move on from Hurts. That he's too basic, he can't make the plays. We've seen him make the plays in the biggest games. He was MVP in the Super Bowl and he should have been MVP in the Super Bowl we lost against the Chiefs. He can make the plays. It's all about getting him moving again, having play action pass available by giving the defense all the threats to worry about. If they're only worrying about Saquon, they're going to load the box and they don't have to worry about coverage. Stops us. If it's only one of the wide receivers, they're going to double team AJ or they're going to double team Devontae and keep coverage deep, not let us have the big plays, and we're stopped again. We need to be able to feed all of them. On that note, is AJ going to stay? It's an interesting one. Is he all his moaning and is rumoured asking for trade because of Kevin Patullo and the players that were being called and that we couldn't feed everybody? Or is it just he's got past that, he's won the Super Bowl, he's had enough now, he wants a new challenge? If that's the case, I would trade him. If it was just frustration at the way we were playing and the plays were being called, would he want to stay now KP's gone, depending on which OC we get? Obviously, I would want to keep him. On his days, top 5 wide receiver in the league. When he's happy, when he's playing well, he's unstoppable. He's had a bad year. He didn't get fed. The drops in the playoffs were not good. But that's not AJ Brown. So we'd have to see where we go, how much we get if we do trade him, how much capital do we get, is it going to be worth it, can we reinforce in that position? And then the draft, I don't watch any college football, so I'm not going to act like I know who's in the draft this year, who we should be going for. I'll have a look into the prospects later this week, see what people are saying, but like I said, I don't watch any college football in the UK. It's very hard to watch college football. For me, getting a second corner to play opposite Q, Quinyon Mitchell, is big. Q's locked down, but having Adoree Jackson played alright in some games, played really bad in other games, moving Cooper outside instead of playing in the slot isn't worth it to me. He's one of the best slot corners we've got, or in the league even. So I think either trading or drafting for another lockdown corner is important. Wide receiver, if AJ goes, we'll have to replace him. I don't think Jahan Dotson's wide receiver 1 or 2. I think if AJ goes, Devontae could become wide receiver 1, but then we'd need to get another wide receiver 2 in through the draft, or if someone becomes available as a wide receiver 1 or 2 in trade, look into it if AJ goes. And then for me, it's strength and depth on the offensive line. Cam's been injured all season. Landon Dixon's been injured all season. Lane Johnson's been injured all season, on and off. So getting some depth on the O-line so that we can get through the games when we're missing 1, 2, 3, depending on if their injuries are reoccurring or not. That's kind of where I'm at with Philly. It was a disappointing season after the Super Bowl run, after Saquon's 2,000-yard season, Hurts' MVP, Super Bowl appearance. It was a disappointing season, but as the season went on, you kind of knew where it was going. Nothing was changing in the offense. The best defense in the league for me, but nothing was changing offensively, and you could kind of see it was going to peter out in the playoffs. So I think changing the OC is the right decision. Getting a play caller who takes it on his back, is aggressive with his play calls, and gives our dominant wide receivers, our dominant running back, and our, for me, class act quarterback, just a chance to make plays instead of just being so passive and then wondering why we can't score. That's the big thing for me this offseason. And that's all we've got on the Eagles. I'm back sometime next week with another sports talk. Whether it is Monday after Newcastle's game on Sunday or midweek again like this one. Once there's enough news to talk about, I'll put out the next one. Like I said, I'm going to look into the college football prospects, the mock drafts. I see Mel Kiper Jr. has put out a mock draft already. Again, going for a cornerback, so I'm going to look into those players. And then if there's any transfer news for Newcastle, we'll talk about that. I doubt we might get a centre back this January. I doubt there'll be anything else happening. But let me know in the comments if you agree with any of the takes or if I'm waffling. Cheers. Bye.